We're presenting on the psychology of belief. I'm Emily.
I'm Ella.
I'm Anna.
Savannah. Ash.
So our main issue is that people are very easily susceptible to believing things, whether or not they have real evidence to back that up or not. And our main assumption is that being a human you need to have a sense of control and regulation around your surroundings, and that's what keeps you safe and what keeps you alive, basically. And so that's part biological in your parietal lobe and your thalamus, and it's a biological process, but it's also something that we've just adapted and evolved in over time.
Anyways, okay, so looking at this, we kind of started on conspiracy theories, and so a lot of times conspiracy theories evolve out of a time of crisis when people feel that they're out of control and that they need to feel safe. Another study showed that conspiracy theories and just that kind of way of belief comes from like an evolutionary standpoint where we needed to know who was conspiring against us.
Yeah, also conspiracy theories elect a sense of what if among the people that hear it, which is why it appeals to such a broad audience, even though they can be very outlandish.
And adding on to the what if, specifically on stereotypes, not as conspiracy theories, there were two studies, one in 2011, one in 2012, that demonstrated the concept that media representation answers the what question of how we perceive other ethnicities and races, minorities specifically, and how it gives a negative light on these minorities, especially to the white audience of specifically America and the film industry in America.
We found a source in Emily's RR that talked about like why people of different, like if they're in the same sort of demographic of like gender, age, race, stuff like that, they kind of section themselves off in their beliefs. And that talks about like why they believe the same things, because they're around people who also agree with them, so that kind of like heightens their belief and radicalizes them a bit more.
So she was talking about, in Emily's IR, she was talking about marijuana and politics and how certain groups tend to lean towards either legalize it or illegalize it. So with the political parties, there's such a divide in America, which has never been this bad. And in-group, out-group bias?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's due to like in-group, out-group bias, where you tend to side with people who are more like you, whether it's racially or not. And then also to group polarization, where when you're with people who believe something similar to what you believe, your ideas are heightened and you kind of shove aside any opposing viewpoints.
So in terms of politics, solution would be to abolish the two-party system. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
One-party system.
Yeah, listen. The parties are dumb because you hear that a Republican said something and automatically a Democrat hates it without hearing the statement just because of who it was said by. So they could have completely the same ideologies and they already disagree with each other, and they already have such hatred and such like a divide between them. So if we got rid of the parties,
It's just become a game of like who owns the majority in politics now. So if we just abolish that, then there's nothing stopping us from getting our agenda through. Like, either side, like it doesn't matter.
Government where you didn't have to fight over everything because you were two different parties. But there's of course limitations to that, which is basically everything. So it's unrealistic, and there's a lot of backlash from both sides. Everyone.
Okay, all right. So another solution would be to teach how to understand body language and nonverbal cues in physical education in elementary school, so that students, when they're very young, and they're beginning to form these ideologies, that they can learn how to communicate better with people based on nonverbal things and things that aren't always said. And so this would might be pushed against because a lot of parents have a lot of influence over their kids, and so whatever their parents believe, the child will most likely grow up believing. But if we teach them young to learn how to communicate with people in a way that they can see things from different perspectives and be open to any new ideas, then it might help work us towards a more teamworkable society.
Kids who understand how to talk to other kids.
That kind of goes back to the nature versus nurture debate. If we just form a coherent system where neither side, nature versus nurture, are trying to like overpower one another, the kid can learn to like grow and develop as a human, while also like with a coherent system that kind of teaches them to be open and aware of their surroundings and others around them, while also being allowed to be influenced by the people in their lives.
To help further the development of a child, what they see is a majority of what they learn and keep with themselves as they grow on. So what they see on TV or news or whatever, it needs to be an accurate demonstration of the world around them. So when you have these media outlets that are inaccurately perceiving or interpreting these minorities, you're gonna have a group of children that think this is the way that they act. And to solve that, you could help put people in positions in charge of the film industry that help with the accurate representation of minorities. Therefore, that would change.